On to the lesson proper. We have right now the informal reading inventory, or what they would call the IRI or the ERE. Now earlier my group mates talked about the international ERE, international informal the international versions of the informal reading inventory. Now I would like to share first what I have used in the informal reading inventory for my case study, which is from Macro Hill. I don't know if that is the same thing that they have discussed there. Rest assured, if you cannot see, okay, are you seeing the PowerPoint right now? I don't know if you're seeing this PowerPoint right now, but rest assured that you will be provided a copy of this anytime soon. Now here it is. What we have here is the Philippine Informal Reading Inventory. Earlier, my group mates talked about the informal reading inventory from other countries. Also about some more introduction from my group mates. Now, what I will be stating here right now is the overall content of the Philippine Informal Reading Inventory. Uh-huh. Now, I will be including first essential information that will be important about the PHIL-IRI. Wherein, first of all, the Philippine Informal Reading Inventory, or the PHIL-IRI, was created to provide classroom teachers as a tool for measuring and describing reading performance. And it is an assessment tool composed of graded passages designed to determine a student's reading level. Now, these types of tests is not really a determination of how good they are as students in general, of how good. It means some students may be intelligent at times, but they are not really good readers. Now, this is only an assessment to determine what type of test would be appropriate for them to be put in this type of test, rather, in the reading level. Because we have three types. Remember that we have three types of readers. We have the independent readers, we have the frustrational reader, we have the instructional readers, and then we have the frustrational readers. Like what I said earlier, these are the types of readers. The independent readers, they can read on their own. Like what is stated over there, independent readers. Instructional, with some instruction, there are some aspects of the three types of tests that makes them think that they are that confused on, like what I observed in my case is that there is a little bit of factor, or let us say there are mistakes in terms of silent reading and in terms of some word recognitions, let's say in grades 5 and 6. And another thing, the development of the PhilIRI is one of the initiatives put in place in support of the Every Child a Reader program of the government. This diagnostic approach to describing how children read embraces inclusionary principles that emphasize the need for education that is learner oriented, responsive, and culturally sensitive. The revised PhilIRI was prepared in early 2013 prior to the introduction of the K-12 curriculum. The readability level of the selections for oral and silent reading were based on the old English and Filipino curricula and were validated to pupils who were products of these old curricula. Now, if we would state in here, there are two curricula, or there are two types of tests that are presented in this PhilIRI. First is for the Filipino test, and another one is for the English test. For the Filipino test, they would usually present it during grade 1. Since remember that we are in the K-12 curriculum, that the first priority is we have the MTB-MLE. Like I said, the MTB-MLE wherein they are prioritizing the native language. Now, we have in here, it is said there that they were taught to read in Filipino and in English all starting in grade 1. Remember. Under the K-12 curriculum, the pupils are introduced to reading in Filipino during the first semester of grade 2. So, you would say there that they would already start in grade 2, while reading is already in that second part. In the first half of grade 2 of these students, they would usually get introduced to reading in Filipino. Meanwhile, in the final, or let's say in the last half, on the second half of this quarter, we have the reading in English. Another one. Aside from adjusting the readability level of the PHIL-IRI selections based on the present curriculum, the PHIL-IRI constructed in 2013 was revalidated to the present group of learners in 2016 to give a better assurance that the readability levels of the selections are appropriate for the grade levels in which they are assigned. The result of the examinations of the literacy curriculum in both English and Filipino, as well as the revalidation, were the basis for adjusting the PHIL-IRI selections both in the screening test and the post-test. The PHIL-IRI, it can tell teachers whether students are reading at above or below their grade levels. You would see there are some instances that there are kids who are reader, let's say grade 1, but they can read like they are that they are like they are still in preschool when they haven't learned yet. Or another thing, we have some students who cannot read at all. They are already in high school because of mass promotion, because of the system of the education. Mom, you can butt in anytime soon. You can butt in anytime soon because I know the system would have something to do with this. The individually administered PHIL-IRI graded passages can be used to assess students. First is oral reading, reading aloud, silent reading, comprehension, and listening comprehension levels. When used to assess oral reading skills, the PHIL-IRI may be used to describe decoding and word recognition, fluency, and comprehension. The student's performance in decoding and word recognition is measured through a reading miscue inventory, which goes a little something like the yeah. In terms of fluency, we have the time taken by the child to read a passage is recorded and the number of words that he or she can read per minute is completed. Words per minute. Finally, test takers' comprehension skills may be gauged by having the child answer 5 to 8 questions of varying difficulty based on the graded passage after it has been read. When used to assess silent reading, I don't know, this was considered as one of the harder types of tests that I have experienced while having this case study, the silent reading type of test. Because it may be used to describe not only the reading speed, but you cannot assess the simple reading speed of the kid, especially now that they are reading it by themselves. Now, what is assessed in here is more on the listening comprehension of the kid. The student's reading speed is measured by recording time it takes the child to read each passage completely. And more on the silent reading comprehension is only to answer those types of questions with the specific points assigned. As you would see in the when used to assess listening comprehension, the PHIL-IRI may be used by having the student listen to the passages as they are read by the test administrator and answer 5 to 8 questions of varying difficulty about each passage. For all three types of individual assessments, listening comprehension and silent reading, the aim is to find the learner's independent instructional and frustration level so that teachers know what level of reading materials the student can read and understand. Remember that when we tend to consult to mom knows it on how to what types of reading books to use. For example, when I consulted my case study about it, because I already am in the progress of word recognition, I already have the results. Now currently I do have now the results for the oral reading and the silent reading though. Now it in choosing the type of selections for the oral reading and silent reading, the right process to do that is to consult first to read it yourself. Is it really appropriate for the kid? Most of the selections that you would see, even in the macro hill iris, or in other foreign iris, you would see there that they consider the capability of the kid. They consider the capability of the grade level, not the kid in general, but the grade level. Okay? I would see in here as well as what level of reading materials the student is not ready. You can let them read. They are already in grade 3, but you let them read something that is for grade 5. That may be a factor now on why you may consider reading more or you may consider them in choosing more appropriate material. The administration of the PHIL-IRI for a whole class is approximately 30 minutes. The time it takes to administer the PHIL-IRI would vary for each student. It would always vary. Let's say whether they are slow or fast or just middle. All Filipino subject teachers for grades 3 to 6 and English subject teachers for grades 4 to 6 can administer the PHIL-IRI group screening test in their respective classes. And ELLN trained teachers can administer the PHIL-IRI graded passage to individual students in need for the assessment. For those who would like to ask about ELLN, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to oblige to research on that. Okay? The PHIL-IRI materials will be uploaded. They, like what I said, because of the new system that we have right now, it will be uploaded to the Learning Resource Management Development Systems portal of the DepEd website, which can be downloaded by the teachers, school heads, and education supervisors. Schools are advised to use the MOE funds for the reproduction and distribution of the materials to teachers. I don't know. Mom, any thoughts? Now we proceed now to the stages within the administration of the PHIL-IRI, wherein there are four parts. We have the initial screening of the PHIL-IRI GST, administration, provision. We will go through that one by one later on. I will be having here a certain chart because I this one is what you call the reference. For the reference, I have this is the manual. This is the Philippine inventory Philippine Informal Reading Inventory Manual that is currently 2018. What I have in here, let me find it myself. Actually, dito ko lang din ito kinuha. I just got it here. Most of the content that you can find in here are in this reference. Now we have to see. We have here for the stage 1. You would see in here, this is very comprehensive in nature. I would like you to interpret on that. First, on the initial screening, I would like you to take a look at this very closely. We have here stage 1 initial screening. If raw score, I would like you to follow in the pattern. I will also send this copy. I will also send the copy of this PHIL-IRI manual for you to for you to for you for your own reference. You have the administration of the PHIL-IRI graded passages, and of course provision of reading intervention. And last one is the administration of the PHIL-IRI post test. On to the presentation. We have either stages in administration, like what I said, that's what I mentioned. What are the materials that you will be needing? First is of course the PHIL-IRI testing kit. Typically the PHIL-IRI testing kit, this is what you would typically contain. This is what is typically contained in your remember the national achievement test and the other types of national tests that you would see, just like the recently taken BEAA, or the exit assessment for the grade 12 students, and also the NAT, or the national achievement test, and the NCAE, or the NCAI. Now we have in here the PHIL-IRI testing kit. They also have their testing kit as well, which is the manual of administration, which is this, the PHIL-IRI group screening test, the test itself, the grading passages, the forms, which are typically the PPK, or what you would say is the attendance. In English, it's the counterpart of the summary of the class reading record and the school reading profile. PHIL-IRI forms for graded passages, you would see in there. Another one is how do you administer. I would like you to see this for yourself. It's just very simple. Just like how would you typically administer these types of tests, which is this. Like I said, you will have the copy. You have to secure an updated copy of the class list. Of course, the class list, complete set of the testing kit, the testing administer, and then report the results. And then, of course, you also have the same setup for the graded passages, marking and scoring the miscues. Now, on to proceeding to the favorite part, of course, the post-test proper, which is you are now going to assess, you're now going to record your SKUs, the results. When you consider in here, I would like you to take a look at this, the types of miscues, which are the mispronunciation, the omission, substitution, insertion, and repetition. Okay, I would like you to take a look at this first. Mispronunciation, it's very obvious. It is considered as one error. Omission, that's also considered as one error that is omitted. Substitution, you have the monkey instead of money. That's error. Those are errors, ah. Substitution, let's start with mispronunciation. From the word itself, you mispronounce the word. You made the wrong sound. The learner made the wrong sound of the word. And then followed by omission, a word has been missed. Substitution, it has been changed by another word that sounds similar, that spells similar, that may be an issue, another one. Subs insertion, a new word that is not part of the reading selection but is concluded in the delivery of the kid. And repetition, inulit po kumbaga. Another one, we have the transposition. When you say transposition, reversal, and self-correction. If this is considered, if it is self-corrected, you don't consider it as error. Instead, you take note of it as an S. That's what I did recently. Now, that is also considered. Now, in here for transposition, there is, what do you call this? There was, hmm, let's take a look. You try to observe this very closely. There is a certain syllable that is missed from the word transposition. Reversal, the letters were changed from supposed to be, it should be bad, but it's dab, like this. It's considered as one error, but the last one, self-correction, like I said, you have to write S above the specific word and do not count it as an error. You do not count it as an error, it's just simply that. But you put S. So you have the type of miscues, summary of miscues. You have to consider the number of mistakes. You have to take note one each. Now that would determine their. You would see there in the. I would show you the macro. I would show you. I will show you today what did I use as in my case study, which is how did I check it first. We have in here the types of mistakes that they are using because those specific here are some determinations. Oh, it's here. Oral reading score per passage, as you would see. I would like to take note of this is self-explanatory. May pagkamat po ito. Medyo masakit sa ulo, mga kaibigan. Pasensya na po. I know we are reading teachers, but bakit po may math dito? May computation pong nagaganap. So here, for the oral reading score of the kid, we have here the number of words minus number of miscues over the number of words times 100. For instance, Pedro's performance in oral reading. Number of words is only 65 and there are 15 mistakes. So, 50 over 65 times 100, 76.9. That is not good. Ang ganon. Recording the speed and rate in oral reading. You have there the record as well. Number of words read times in per minute. In 60 seconds, you have to determine that. For example, there are 103 words in the passage. It took him 1.5 minutes to read everything. Now you have to determine Pedro's reading rate is only 69 words per minute. Ganon. Another one, computing the student's comprehension of the passage. Of course, this is now on the correct answers. These are simple. These are simple tests, but this will help you as reading teachers. Now, my thoughts on this test, it was not that easy. Hopefully makatulong to sa inyo. Hopefully this will be a help for most of you in when you are having your case study, especially when you have this kid. When you are currently doing this case study, you are having the IRI administered to your student, administ if to your student if the school year is still there, or administered to someone you know, to a son or daughter of someone you know, or even your relative who's there. Hopefully this helps a lot. Another one is this one. Table 6, it presents the percentage of comprehension. It's just very basic, simple as that. Analysis interpretation, it just presents in here the oral reading level. It meaning, remember 76% ang nakuha ni Pedro. Word reading score, ibig sabihin si Pedro ay instructional. 76.9, that's the meaning of that. Let's say, if the reader has 97 to 100%, he is considered as an independent reader. which means no more further instruction. Kumbaga ganon. Yun ang tingin kasi pag independent. From the word itself, independent, kaya nang tumayo sa sariling paa, mag-isa. Another one is for instructional, can be instructed a little bit, just a little bit, but not that so much, unlike that frustrational, which is needed a lot. Then, to illustrate, ayun, Carlo is in grade 4, meaning 69.5 words. It just simply means that Carlo is a frustrational reader. Word reading, we have here the independent. Okay, ito po yun. And then, qualitative analysis. On to the qualitative analysis. What miscues are often committed? Ito, this is more on the assessment of the student. This is more on your assessment to the student. What's the common mistake? What I have observed commonly in my case is that some of the words such as walked, talked, stalked, he mistaken it as walked. He mistaken the ed with the ed, not with the t. That's the common issue. That's his common issue though. I instructed him. That's the only mistake that he had. Those are one of the common mistakes that he had. And especially now, some more complex words, especially in the word recognition part, like I said, in grades 5 and grade 6, he has that. He had that. Do these miscues affect the meaning of the passage? I don't think so. Yeah. Does it affect the passage? Does it affect really his comprehension? That's it. And then table 9, disregards punctuation, points to each word with his or her finger, employs little or no method of analysis, and other observations. The listening comprehension silent reading test, after the administration, you have to let them read aloud. This is more on the reading aloud test. Now next is for the listening comprehension test. After the administration of the oral reading test, the teacher may opt to administer a listening comprehension for the non-readers and a silent reading test to further assess the student's reading speed. Both are considered optional. Halimbawa kung magaling na yung bata sa oral reading, no need na. They don't need it anymore. So yeah, here, conducting the reading intervention. Based on the reading difficulty of the student, a reading intervention program is designed for him or her. This is individualized. Remember that in a class or in a group, not everyone is no two students are completely alike. They may have the same abilities as the kid, but you have to remember they have the slight difference, meaning he or she can have the slight difference in terms of instruction and as well as in reading. Appendix H, you would see, like I said, you would have the handbook. Ito, conducting the PHIL-IRI post-test for the grade levels administered typically during the fourth quarter or the end of the year, almost at the end of the year. The teacher records the score of each student and compares the result of the post-test against the pre-test. Likewise, the behavior during the reading of the selection is compared to the student's behavior during the pre-test. It should be noted that only the pupils who got a score 14 and below during the GST are subjected to further testing. Ibig sabihin po niyan, 14 and below. 14 and below na score. Sila po yung mga kailangan isa lang sa ganong klaseng test, sa further testing. So as I continue, and these are like I said, you have to find this here, the Philippine Informal Reading Inventory, just like what I presented to you earlier. Rest assured that you will be having these references. Now for any further questions, any further clarifications that you may have, on to the final message. I hope na marami po kayo natutunan for this year, for the lessons that we have, because eto sabihin ko sa inyo, at first when I have this PHIL-IRI reading test, it was very I was so overwhelmed by what am I going to do in this PHIL-IRI test. Lalo na ngayon magpo-progress na tayo, tapos touch 30 sa last day po submission, buti na lang. So hopefully kailangan nyo matapos yan, kailangan nyo na matapos yung administration ninyo, lalo na habulin nyo yung bata, hindi na yung bata yung maghahabol sa inyo para gawin yan. Tandaan nyo, estudyante kayo dito, estudyante kayo dito, nahabol nyo na to mismo, kayo mismo sila. Kumbaga, you can consider them, they would give you the salvation in READ 701. So yun. It's gaya lang sinabi ko dun sa batang yan, hindi lang kasi to basta-bastang grades lang na pang masteral eh. Sa grade 701, sabi ko sa kanya, makakatulong to sa iyo kasi malaking benefit tong matutulong nito sa iyo kasi malaking tulong to sa iyo para turuan mo yung batang magbasa. Tandaan mo, lahat ng mga bata na speaker, lahat ng batang writer nag-uumpisa sa pagiging reader. So malalaman mo kaagad kung yung isang bata ay talagang napakagaling. Lahat ng, like I said, even us teachers, even most of us teachers, lahat po tayo nag-uumpisa sa pagiging reader. Depende kung ano po kung ano po yung binabasa natin. Regardless kung books man, comics, posters, and anything else, reading is very important. Now, on to here. Thank you very much, and that's it.